starting the meeting for today. Restarting a little. Adam, great to have you here. Thanks for joining the call today. So we're going to look at the RFP system that just passed the Telos worker proposal system last week. So it's being funded. It's actually already being built by Detroit Ledger Technologies. So we be able to see something. So I would actually like to hand it over to you, Adam, so you can explain about the backgrounds, why you did this, and then give a short presentation of the tool itself. That would be awesome.
Sure. Yeah. So the primary reason why we built this is because we were kind of having discussions with one of the Telos Foundation board members about how they thought that the worker proposal system on Telos, the funds weren't being utilized in an efficient manner, mostly being distributed to for-profit projects and not, network tools or things that can benefit everybody, right? There's also not a whole lot of oversight on it. So, they wanted us to kind of discover how we could build an RFP system, and we worked on this with a couple of TF members and then also another BP on Telos with at least the concept, and then DLT built everything. So I will share my screen. And so this is it. This is on public testnet. So you can visit this link and check out things on your own if you'd like to. What I'm going to run through here is just the process of actually, creating a project or a request for proposal, and then on the actual user side, submitting a proposal as well. There's a couple of things that we want to add to this in the future, but we figured we kind of get out a minimum viable product first. And the two major things being, we want to have kind of a public area that's similar to like a feature request for a SaaS platform where people can go on and upvote certain features that they want built on a network. And then also the payment aspect right now is manual. So actually distributing funds for the proposal is done manually, but we plan to actually automate that in the future and give the program manager just an easy way to disperse that fund. And that was primarily actually because we weren't sure where the money was coming or how the Treasury was going to be managed when we started building this. So just two kind of minor things that we want to add in the future. So anyways, I'm logged in as the admin account. There's an admin account that oversees the whole thing, and they can set a couple of things, including who the program managers are. So there can be multiple program managers, which you see here. You can check out which projects that they are managing currently. I think there's probably some UI, UX improvements that can be done here because you can't actually click through these, but they're all there on the front end when you go back to the main page. You can invite, that's how you add a Telos account, and so they'll get permissions. And then we'll go back to the projects here. These are all just the projects in the system, and the ones at the top are really ones that are managed by that admin or program manager rather. You can swap through between ones that need to be started for the voting period. So this is broken down actually. When you create an RFP, there's two periods. There's a community voting period, which everybody can come on and vote, stake weighted voting, which one that they think is best. And that all that does, the winner of that or the multiple winners of that get rewarded kind of like a little bit of a bonus. So it's gamified, and that's usually something around like $1,000 USD. It of course gets paid in Telos, but it's pegged to USD so that we don't run into volatility issues as these projects get completed. The second part of it is then after the community vote is done, the build committee, which is composed of people in the TCD, the Telos core development team, and the TF, will essentially vote and decide which proposal that they want to go with, because somebody might have the cheapest proposal, but they don't have the best team, that sort of thing, right? So there's still some heavy oversight there from the network stakeholders. So we'll go ahead and we'll create a project, or rather a request for proposal. So we can say, you know, build the Telos build V2. You can put a GitHub link there, and then description. The program manager can set the bond. So this is to prevent spam, essentially. So you can, you know, say you have to have 100 Telos to submit this so that you don't get a bunch of spam proposals. The deadline here. So this is the number of days that there's accepted submissions before the voting period. The amount of USD to be rewarded is that bonus. So let's just say 1,000. You can set any number of proposals that will get rewarded for that. So let's say the top 3 vote getters will get that. You know, it could always just be 1. And then you can set a custom voting period as well for this. So it's a little bit different than how Telos currently works, where that's set to 14 days, I believe now.
What was the GitHub repository name for? Why was that in there?
So that's just where the project's going to live afterwards when the code's committed. It's more for just record keeping purposes.
So in other words, that's where they'll do the development. If they win the bid, they'll develop in that account, so to speak. Yeah,
that would be preferred. And I think there's probably one change here actually too that we need to make, because I think we asked them to put a GitHub link, the actual person submitting the proposal in here too, but I think it's kind of redundant personally. So we went ahead and we created that project. It came down here into a draft section, so we can go ahead and publish this now. And that will allow people to actually come submit proposals. And you see this is the actual RFP view. The general information is on the front screen. When proposals get submitted, which we'll do in a second, those will get added here, and people can check those out. And then progress, when it actually, you know, a winner is selected or awarded the bid, then you'll be able to see the progress here, and we'll show you what that looks like too. I need to.
Are there templates for the, you know, the general RFP that goes out, and then templates for the responses that come back in, or is it all free format?
So there is some templating. It's pretty basic. When it gets to the timeline, there's actually a CSV template, and I'll show you that in a second, that you fill out essentially the sprints that you're doing, and generally what you're doing there. So if we go here, this is actually now like a user. And let's see here. Other projects, accepting proposals. So we'll go ahead and go to this one right here and actually send a proposal in. So you can title it. It's mostly uploading a PDF at this point, right? So it is a little bit more free form, but it does ask for like essentially mockups. So if you have a Figma, you can put that in there. The Kanban board where, you know, essentially people can go look in real time and see that tickets are being done by that project team. So we have this all open and transparent. And I'll just go ahead and fill this out real quick. And so this is what this looks like actually. So it's just a very basic like CSV where you put the days, the amount for it, title of what it is, and a general description that people can hover over. It's meant to be kind of high level, right? We'll just go ahead and upload this. Oh, I don't have enough tokens, so I need to go to the faucet real quick. Sorry. Where do you get those at, Kirsten? The tokens.
Send testnet Telos.
Yeah, send to testnet.
Right there.
Right there in the middle.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
Sorry, I've never used this one before. I usually use the wax one. This account is, let's see. Of course, I don't have it. Let's go to Anchor Wallet. And then this is giving me issues too. I'll just go ahead and revisit this actually. SD Pongulo 2. See if that worked. I'm not sure if that actually even worked.
Here, I'll send you some.
All right, thank you.
As a side note, I've seen that happen in Anchor as well. And if you just focus the window while it's white and hit Command R, like you would refresh your web browser, it'll refresh the page.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's useful. I usually just close it out and reopen it.
We need to make it so that there's like a screen that pops up there and just gives you a reload button when that happens. It shouldn't, but it does, sadly.
Yeah, so it looks like I need about a little over 50. So if you send me like 60, I think we should be good.
Yes, I sent you 1,000. So
okay, cool. Oh, this is on. Okay, cool. Thank you. So we'll go ahead and submit that again. And then we got a success that time. And you can see that the proposal's there. And then this is what that timeline looks like. So you can click on that and see what the description is, but it breaks it out into this kind of nice little, almost like waterfall type of graphic here. So let's see, I may not be able to do this other part of actually accepting it, but we'll see. It might get cranky about the timeline. Projects. Oh yeah, here we go. Oh, you know what? It may not let me do this just because it's still accepting proposals. Let's see here. Yeah, you know what? Well, that's one thing that we should probably build in here before we release it, is having the ability to end this early. But anyways, I do have a video that I can send you guys to that finishes out the rest of this process, since I can't apparently move this forward manually. But essentially, after that, you close the period, or the period ends for submitting proposals, and then community members can go on and vote, and then eventually they can. Oh, you know what? I can do it on one of these old ones, actually. Let's do that. We're just not going to see the voting period today, I guess, but I don't think that's super critical. So you can actually replay it as well too. If you don't get good proposals, it doesn't make you recreate it. And then you can also cancel it. But we'll go ahead and start this. We selected test as a winner. So now you have the winning proposal here, or one of them anyways. And it puts the milestones here as well, where they can go on and claim or submit essentially the update that they have to for the milestone. And then it'll get paid out manually. And that's essentially it. We're definitely open to feedback and improvements. I think there's probably just some additional UI UX we can put in here too, to make it a little bit more simple and easy to understand. But
so where does the person submitting the response put in their bid amount? Is that just embedded in the PDF that they would upload?
So the bid amount is, yeah, I mean, they can do it there in the top level, but they do it by essentially milestone. So in that CSV, where's that? You put the amount, it gets paid in Telos, but everything is paid in USD. So it'll actually, once they have submitted it, it'll tell the program manager how much Telos they're supposed to send. And eventually that will be done automatically, where they can just hit a button and it'll send it out of the Treasury. Okay. But we're kind of in the process of setting that up.
Is the Telos determined at the time of hitting the milestone, or at the time of submitting the bid and winning it?
It's at the time of milestone, because you want to do it that way so that while they're developing, they're not getting essentially hosed on volatility and things like that if they have a month-long milestone.
So once the payment is sent out, does this platform also spit out, for example, an invoice? Like, what about the typical contract type of documentation, administrative process? Is that outside of this platform, or does this platform take care of that as well?
It is currently outside of the platform. That is actually a really good suggestion to include that in here. And
right now, I'm guessing, because it's for Telos, the side right now, it's the token holders. But in our case, for example, we have only 4 voting accounts essentially to what we do. I'm guessing that those parameters could be changed to only whitelist those accounts as having X amount of weight.
Right.
To determine what does go through.
Yep. Yeah, it could be done. I mean, really, a lot of that administrative work, as you kind of pointed out, is done outside of the system right now.
And so if you had to sum up, what would you call this product? Is it a request for proposal platform? Like, is it essentially a bounty platform?
Yeah, I mean, that's what we're probably changing the name to Telos RFP instead of Telos Build, but yeah, it's a request for proposal platform.
Gotcha. So, and do you envision, so after the bid has been set, is essentially the platform following along with the project, or does that, or is the idea, at least at this stage anyways, that all that happens afterwards, basically separately? Or does the platform itself kind of follow along with the project as, and the reason why I'm asking is because there's the Kanban in there as well. So does then do the two entities continue interacting with each other through the platform, or is essentially the only interaction is here's my bid, or here's your RFP, here's the bid, you're awarded the bid, and our relationship in this platform is over?
Yeah, so it does follow along right here on the milestone section. They're supposed to upload either a document or like a video. The idea is that the program manager is going to regularly meet with the team just to do check-ins to make sure things are moving along as they should. But it's more about this part of it, I guess, is like reporting, right? Just making sure that things are getting done and there being a paper trail. But it's
so
very,
essentially
like,
all the steps along the way are being recorded on the blockchain is the idea. It's really capturing that accountability portion of the process.
Yes.
And likewise, in our case, the current treasury is in USDT, so there is no volatility. I'm also assuming that should the determination be that a milestone gets paid at the onset, that's also possible to make that switch within the platform for let's say customization of our specific needs, or is the idea that this platform will be as is, and should people want to adapt it to their needs, it's up to them to make those customizations. And I guess the question is it open source, or is it a white glove type of offering that you're thinking of doing?
Yeah, so that really depends what the TCD wants to do. I mean, we built it for Telos and got paid by it for Telos, so I'm leaving that decision up to them. However, I mean, to answer your technical question, it is fairly configurable. I would need to check on some specifics with my engineers that built this, but it was done in a way that it can be easily adjusted.
So something
Does it use Decide?
Yes, it does use Decide.
So something that's pretty typical in maybe RFP processes at scale is when you put out an RFP, there's a lot of requirements on them, but not every requirement's weighted the same. And when the proposals come back, there's different takes on how to solve it. And usually to keep good transparency and a certain level of equity in the voting process, there's some sort of analysis saying, okay, these requirements might be better suited by proposal A, but these ones are better by B, and these third ones over by C. And of course, across all of this is a weighting also on the total cost. Do you see you guys growing into that kind of scaled system? Because right now it looks like it's kind of almost a black box in the decision-making process where the people can vote, but they don't have to say why, why they think, they would vote for it.
That's a really good point too. We could build that, but to be honest with you, I did not think of that. So.
Okay. I'm, just asking.
Oh yeah. No, I know. It's I mean, we'd love to build it, right? So happy to make improvements. And I think this has been really helpful for me too. And I'm sure Kersten has some ideas and Jesse has some ideas now too.
Yeah, it virtually just passed the worker proposal system, and we're starting to discuss further how to utilize it. I think the component I personally like is that it has this kind of control mechanisms integrated. So it's not like the traditional WPS. It's like if it passes, then it passes. Then you virtually have to pay. This one here is also like a quality assurance mechanism for the program manager to actually slash a project if they don't hit the actual milestones in delivering. So it's not you still have to kind of approve the steps and before the payment can be performed. So it's not an automatic system to send out funds even if they don't deliver. So I think that's what I like about it. And it is a process that allows us to manage those RFPs, but it is, as said, it's just being being progressed, and we need to discuss all those things and test it with the first projects to see how it really works out. But I think as a first MVP, it already gives a pretty strong impression where it could go. And
what is the rough timeline or roadmap? Because you just mentioned MVP. So when is the rough timeline for this to be, let's say, I'm guessing now because it's on testnet. I thought it was already live. So when is the rough timeline for it to be, let's say, polished enough to be in I guess version 1 production ready?
Yeah, so I just put in the name bid a couple days ago, but got outbid for the actual account that's going to manage like the treasury and things like that. And correct me if I'm wrong, Kersten, but I would imagine in the next like 2 to 4 weeks, we can have this deployed and have all of the funding, because we're applying for the initial funds that are going into the treasury from Telos Works as well. So now that this one passed a couple of days ago, I'm submitting the other proposal to get about 150,000 Telos.
So I guess I didn't get the answer I was looking for. I was time wise, because you mentioned in terms of application for more funding, is the idea within the proposal that you're making, is the idea that it's in 3 months, in 6 months, in a year? When do you expect this to be, let's say, production ready?
Yeah, like 2 to 4 weeks.
2 to 4 weeks after you get the extra funding, or in 2 to 4 weeks from today, essentially?
Weeks from today.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, there's probably some minor things that we can clean up on here, but it's been done for a couple weeks now.
Okay. Awesome.
The MVP anyways.
So what is there left to do? Kind of big lines or yeah.
I mean, that's nothing really like big to do. Honestly, I think we just want to start getting some initial projects to kind of push through here and see how it works, and then make improvements after that. Is kind of where we're at.
Yeah, I could envision that obviously the voting process is it needs to be kind of close to the accounts that may vote in our construct, so that it's not like set out into the side voter into an official group and everybody votes on it. So obviously we need to kind of take care of that, and then we need to care about the currencies. So we are sure that it's not Telos, it's actually the USDT or C or whatever we're going to use then, and work from there.
So is the treasury held in the account controlled by DLT, or is the treasury in this current format anyways on Telos a separate account that this essentially requests a trigger from?
Yeah, it's going to be a separate account. I put in the name bid for RFP, so it's going to be that one, and then we'll hand that over to the TCD, and I would imagine they would have it behind an MSIG of some amount of people.
So on the other end, the Telos Treasury actually whitelisted or added this account as a permissioned account to be able to transfer out. And how does the Telos account threshold get met? And I guess where I'm getting at with this is there a potential vulnerability that this requests funds, and because it's being whitelisted, the funds get approved regardless? So how does the accountability on the other end?
So the funding aspect of it now is done manually. So it's not connected to this system. That was one of the things that I mentioned in the beginning, that we want to build that in the next phase. It was just like, let's get this done, see how it works, and then we can add those improvements.
So currently, if let's say Jeff were to win the bid, the treasury just sends directly to Jeff. It doesn't come through this this account, or okay. Gotcha. I'm just thinking again for accountability purposes. And accountability, I mean actual tax accountability.
Yep.
Or accounting, sorry, not accountability.
Any other questions, comments?
It's pretty cool. I'm looking to see it in a few weeks, what it looks like when it's live with actual data in it and the flow. Do you happen to have a high-level process flow architectural design? That would be cool if you could share that.
Yep. Yeah, we have a, I can't remember which system it's in, but I'll send you the link. It was in our initial proposal for this.
Cool. Thank you, Adam.
Wasn't that a Miro board even?
Yeah, it was yeah, that's what it was. It was a Miro. Yep. Cool. Well, thank you.
Well, thank you very much for coming on and giving us that a glimpse of what's to come.
Yeah, and thank you for giving me like 2 or 3 good ideas that I can now put into a new proposal, or maybe here's some months to put it up for an RFP.
Just more work.
Makes sense. Guillaume, maybe just your short feedback from your side, Guillaume.
I think it looks like it's going in the right direction. I'm also quite curious to see it in a few weeks, see what it looks like once it's populated and whatnot. I don't know if you're planning to support any sort of, I guess, like a markdown language or something like that to write the proposal. I think that's probably a good idea as well.
I will write that down. I'm gonna take some notes, actually.
Do you mean by that, Yum, as well? Like right now, I guess the way it's currently set up, somebody would upload a PDF. Do you mean also that the application could be in the portal itself? Which would markdown.
In
so
general,
that we could make our form of what we're looking for, and then people would just submit through it instead of
Exactly. No, I think in general, like when you build things like that, like I guess that's probably a good feature to have, because now like you can format the whole thing the way you see fit, and you can easily have like collaborators also working on the same document and things of the sort. I think it's a good idea as well, like edit as you go type of thing.
Oh yeah, that's a question. Can you edit?
You can edit proposals, yes, until it gets to the voting period, of course.
But yeah, no, I'm curious to see it live.
Excellent. We'll, I think, Adam, the moment that we've managed to configure it and run the first test, you're gonna be invited again to show it here. It's fully your credit, not mine. So cool.
There's so much interest in it. It should be pretty cool. I'm excited to have the first couple ones run through it. So.
Okay, and thank you, Adam.
Yeah, thanks, Dan.
Yep. I will. I'll leave you guys to it then. Thank you.
Have a good one.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
Cheers.
Okay, so I was able to get half through the recording of last week. So I've seen everybody gets along with Miro nowadays, which is good.
You kept it very well organized. I just followed what you set up. If it was not organized, it would have not been possible. So thank you.
Yeah. Awesome.
I guess I didn't understand what the difference is between agenda and in progress, because I went through the agenda, but then I had to go through the in progress, which essentially was the agenda as well.
Yeah, because that's kind of what I reorganize usually before the meeting. I haven't done this today too, because I switch back and forth between agenda and in progress. So that's in fact a little confusing, but usually we start with in progress and then move to the agenda items.
Gotcha.
But it's obviously kind of a secret. I'm telling nobody.
Well, you're recording right now.
Oh yeah, again. So great. Let's go to the in progress items then. Justin just joined, which is perfect timing. Justin, you want to kind of give a very short update on this progress of the brand development, because obviously its timing is up for next week. So I'm curious, everybody is curious to hear what the status of the brand initiative is.
Yeah, I think we're still at least 2 weeks away at this point. But things are progressing pretty well. We're at the point where we're looking at some names and name directions. But it's all dependent on how fast we can get together and meet. So I would just like flag that. I know we've got our next meeting. I think it's scheduled for tomorrow. But yeah, I would just flag and I guess check, is there any specific deadlines that we have? I think we're like 2 or 3 weeks ago. You know, we're sort of on track for, I think they originally said 12 week.
May 12th was the original date in the contract, but they have been on the ball for this.
Exactly.
I wouldn't say that even if we don't meet the May 12th date, it is not because they're not working.
Yeah, exactly. It's just been hard to get everyone together. So yeah, we're pretty much only about a week delay probably, but it's all dependent. But yeah, just checking, is there any specific reasons we can't be a little bit delayed if we are? I don't think there is at the moment.
No, and I guess we kind of, to echo what Justin said, we did meet, was it the beginning of this week or was it last week?
I think it was the beginning of this week, Monday.
And we went over names. So, I mean, that is kind of what they, I think May 12th, the idea was to have the final 3, but we did go over names earlier this week and we're meeting tomorrow. And I think tomorrow we might actually, if not have 3, but at least have a few less than what we did. So it is possible that we're still on track for that May 12th, being able to present 3 names to the group. I think it's unlikely, but it's possible.
Yep, exactly.
Okay, but that means that the moment that this is presented, the meeting will obviously not be recorded.
Well, we've been discussing names now for about a week or so. Actual names, concrete names.
No, I was talking about this meeting next week. So if or the week after. So if we're discussing the names, we're not going to record and publish this.
That's a good question. Right now,
unless you're going to buy all the domains.
So that's kind of part of it. That's part of the exercise. So if we do finalize the names within the group of like the top 3 or something like that, they may, depending on the cost of the domains, we might actually have those secured prior to bringing up to the group, depending on the cost, obviously.
Yeah, I think we've agreed that as soon as we have a few names, we'll just go in and buy them immediately, because even just searching for them and then not following through could result in issues.
Being sniped, which has happened.
And if we have some good video editors, then we could talk about all 3, and somebody could just paste fuck horse and audio clip fuck horse over every time we talk about it.
We could it depends on if that's going to be the entirety of the call or not. It's real easy to just hit the pause button and then discuss that and then re-record. That way we still have,
we just go to the camera.
Yeah.
That's pause. Even the excitement that people, let's just, have a nice announcement of the name when.
Yes, agreed. Or unless we wanted to go to an actual, I'm not sure how, and this would complicate things, so I'm not saying we should, but unless we did go back and kind of have a vote somehow with the communities. I'm just not sure how that would actually be possible, and that would take a lot of time. So probably not scratch that. It's probably not a good idea.
Yeah. Naming is kind of, everybody's has his opinion about naming, so I'm not sure if we're getting somewhere if we put it out for the communities. Okay. That's
But
great.
they
So
have been doing a really great job. Like even the way that they presented, I don't know what your impression is, Justin. The way that they presented, how they present the names was very interesting.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. They've been really great throughout the process. Thanks to, I think CC put them up as a contender. So thanks to him.
okay. So community strategy and updates. Brandon, is there anything you would like to share with us in regards of, is Brandon there already? Yeah, there you are. So is there anything you'd like to share with us in regards to the last press releases and anything?
No, we're still on track. I think we'll publish next Thursday. Largely, it's just the bullet points I've got outlined there, and with any additions that come up in today's meeting. And then we're still kind of hanging on for. I'll just wrap up all the comms stuff in one fell swoop here. We're just kind of waiting for the name and for some the priorities. Once the priorities are finalized and ready to be publicized, that'll be huge. Maybe we can, I don't know if that's something we're going to be able to get to today or before this following Thursday. But that would be good to include in there as well. So.
Did you receive all the feedback you needed for the proposal that you posted on Telegram?
The proposal I posted on Telegram?
Or is that already published?
Yeah, we published the previous yeah, the last Thursday we published.
Yes. Okay. So
the first update. So that's all behind us. Okay. That's what. Yeah. Yes, I guess
we shared in the group, and then we tagged all of the different chains on Twitter posts too.
Okay.
I think it was posted the day of the last call, which you were absent for, so that's probably why you missed it. You're out that day.
Yes. Okay. Create status update template. That's on me. I didn't manage to get in touch with Jeff and Ted, so we probably manage to do this before the next meeting. So that's on me. I will take this task again. Then we have the faster finality RFP document. What's the status of this? It's basically due for today.
Yeah, it's on hold because we're waiting for a larger document. And we've decided instead of working on that document, we're going to work on an RFP example from the SDK from the mobile team. So we're going to do the SDK instead. And we're waiting to see the final draft of the document Guillaume is leading on faster finality.
Okay. Okay, so I'll move that to the backlog until we have that that document. Was it the right one? No, that wasn't the right one. Okay, Scalability Plus. I've seen some frustration on Telegram. Is there kind of an update on this one?
Frustrations. I didn't see that.
Yeah, me neither. But I think let's just skip the part about the frustration because I think I know what it is. Scalability Plus has been having their calls weekly, and I guess they are working on the blue paper. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
that
so-
was.
So just maybe a bit of an update on that. We the way we're going at it is mostly through the I guess like summaries for all these proposals. So all of the proposals that are that have to do with Scalability Plus, we've been writing these overviews for them, and that's going to be the first basis for the Scalability paper in terms of content. What's been discussed in the discussion also was to possibly model it after the structure of the Yield Plus paper that is not yet released officially, just because that was kind of following our latest discussion, Yves, on the matter. You were saying that this is the kind of I guess direction you'd like these papers to take in general. That's the format that you were most pleased with. So we were gonna take kind of I guess like a bit of a inspiration from that one to put together the Scalability Plus paper. But since it's I mean, I've seen it. ENF has seen it because they're also part of the Yield Plus group. But until it is like released to the public, we were not comfortable sharing it just yet with the Scalability Plus group. So if that makes sense. So, but that's kind of where it stands. And the paper that we're writing about fast finality, I mean, I'm not sure if every point will have a paper as detailed as that one, because that's kind of an exception, I guess. But that's also going to be part of it, at least as a reference. And I'm not sure if Lucas has done anything yet specifically for the paper. I think he was also more or less waiting for the Yield Plus paper to be out to take an inspiration from it.
I would have no issues, Guillaume, if you asked the others in the Yield Plus working group if they were okay with sharing. I would have no issues, as long as it
Okay.
would be out yet, because that would kind of suck. But as long as they kept it to themselves, that'd be okay.
Yeah, I think so. And
I guess it's final now. There's a few things that
Exactly,
were adjusted in the last couple of days, so it's better that happens
literally
now.
as this morning, essentially, we agreed that the version that we had was final and ready for release.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess that's.
I would just
good.
watermark it. That's it.
Sure.
In case there are other changes and it somehow leaks, but there's nothing wrong with the document itself. It just kind of sucks when somebody works on something for 3 months and then it leaks before it's published.
Yeah. But no, I agree anyway. I think I'm just gonna ask everyone in the group, but if everyone agrees, we'll just do that and then share it with the Scalability Plus group.
Okay. One question: you mentioned that you want to kind of have me on that call, and we did discuss if you would be able to move that by 1 hour. So did you discuss that in the group, or is that here obsolete?
It's a good question. I'm not sure how that group will evolve after I guess like after the next couple of weeks, the last couple of weeks. I mean, like we had from the administrative standpoint, like we're kind of structuring and setup standpoint, I think we're good. We basically identified which items were essentially falling upon Scalability Plus, I guess, responsibility. And then we came up with, I guess, like people have been assigned to work on each of these points and flesh them out. And that's going to converge into that blue paper that we're going to release at some point, like probably relatively soon. And there's I'm not sure after that, like if we even need to keep the group going, unless it's for actually like discussing these topics that we're going to be working on. Like, so I mean, there's basically like 3 kind of like large topics that we're going to be addressing as part of Scalability, and we probably have enough done on the fast finality. There's going to be probably another one for the RAM improvements, which is what we have on the agenda for next Tuesday. But after that, I'm not sure if we're gonna have anything else in that list, because the other points were fairly down in the list of priorities. So as we were kind of probably like aiming for in 1 year, let's tackle like 5 to 8 of them. I don't think I think IBC is 9th, so I don't even think it's on the radar just now. So yeah, that's but open suggestions, of course. Like it's a convenient time slot. We managed to get like a bunch of developers in there as well, so you can certainly use it for any purpose that we see fit. It's just I don't think it's going to have that much significance moving forward.
Yeah. Okay. So I just removed that. I just wanted to follow up. So if you imagine at some point that you need some assistance, just let me know. It's just that the time slot doesn't fit my
Gotcha.
calendar at the moment. But I'll be happy to join if you can adjust that.
Cool.
Okay. That's great. Then yeah, this one is probably the item. Ultra contribution, faster finality.
Basically put it to finished.
Yeah.
So we sent out, it's been a few weeks now, we sent them the invitations. I believe they did not join. And so the ball's in their court at this point, and they're not on this call today either. I invited as well yesterday, randomly during our fireside chat, Nathan James from Ultra was on our fireside chat, and I invited him to join these calls as well. And so the invitation's there, it's the ball's in their court.
Okay. Done. Good. So on our original contributors, has there anything been done? Because we don't have an RFP ready,
Yes.
so I guess. Oh.
Yeah, so we're, I guess for this, we're waiting to complete the RFPs for all of the items that stem from the original blue papers. And so they need to be populated essentially in the RFP shell. And then once that's there, it'll be sent out to the teams. I'd already reached out to the teams, so they're waiting on that. So the teams have all raised their hand to say, yes, we'd like to tackle these items. They know that they'll need to fill a bid, and the ball's in our court at this point to send them the RFPs or to post the RFPs so that they know in what format to submit the bid. So the one issue I see here, the one potential roadblock I see here is we've got a lot of RFPs to fill out, and we don't have many people working on this. So if there's anybody else that would be able to come and help contribute to that initiative, we'd be able to ideally get the RFPs out to the, I think it's like 12 of the 20 items or so out sooner rather than later. So I don't know if there's anybody or any of the chains that have people that can contribute to this. Right now, I believe it's mainly Jeff and Ted that are working on this, and apologies if there are other people.
Yeah, I will tell you one of the key challenges there is, of course, we can get it to a good first draft, but we really need people to take a little bit of time to review that, make sure that we've translated the blue paper into the RFP requirements correctly. And it's just kind of that little step. And maybe if we term it that way, because we don't need people to write up the rest of the structure of the document, that would be, not a good use of their time.
Could we try to use, two things. I assume there's, we rank things 1 to 20. So we do have an idea of which ones are higher priorities. So I'm assuming you're kind of putting together the higher priorities first.
Yes.
And maybe, would it make sense to try to carve out, a chunk of time on these calls to just each week try to go through, a couple of the ones that you put together as a group and do that? Or do you think it's something that we need to do offline?
So I think we could do that. The one potential gap is that this call doesn't necessarily have all of the contributors from the working group in it who might have that deep dive level. I'm not saying that's a critical problem. I'm just pointing it out to make sure. And we could get around that if I say, for example, next week, let's review these 2 or 3 RFPs so that you guys can go and get the appropriate people into this meeting just for that 1 week. That might be a way to bulldoze through this process.
When you say appropriate people, you mean the original authors?
Yes.
That are then going to be bidding. So we're going to ask them to review the RFP, which then they will bid on. Yes.
So,
which is okay. I'm just confirming that that's the case.
Well, it is, because if they wrote the blue paper, and the blue paper is the source of the requirements of the RFP, yes, right? They are really the source of the requirements. That's kind of why earlier I was focused on the analysis part of this, because we want to make sure we are squeaky clean on our analysis of saying this person wins this RFP because of this exact kind of scenario, right?
So instead of waiting for a week and inviting them here, if there's documentation to send them, we can send it to them at any time. We can send it today, tomorrow. They could review, provide their feedback as to what the RFP in its current form looks like. And then we could review the final before essentially posting out and sending them the RFP as actual RFP, not draft RFP for their review to be able to send them the RFP. So we could potentially shorten the delay in between, if that works out.
Absolutely. Something that would help for kind of the leaders of the chain is to communicate like a date as like, this is a priority, so we need this to be reviewed by a certain date, because a lot of times, I have sent out stuff to different authors, and, people are super busy and they don't know where this falls in their priority list. So,
so you've sent that to the original authors so far? You've sent out drafts for their comment?
A handful, right? Just a handful, but if I'm going to do this with a bigger amount, now I'm like competing with myself for their attention, right?
And did you send these in private messages or in the blue paper groups that were created?
Combination of emails and Telegram.
Okay, maybe what I can do then is add you to because each blue paper had a group. I'll just add you there, and then we can just circle back and ask where they are in that review process. And maybe just make it clear that once they review, we will then review as a group, make sure the RFP is solid as we see it, as we understand the requirements, and then we'll basically just send back to them as, here's the RFP that we'd like you to bid on.
Sounds good.
So that the earlier they do their part, the earlier they actually get it back, but in final version.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, I'll add you to those groups if you weren't already in them.
So the assumption is that we will only have those that are the original authors for this kind of review and session. And we're not going to invite others that might be willing to bid on those packages.
So I can re-explain again. The idea is that we would, so EOS, regardless of this group, prior to this group existing, prior to the coalition existing, when EOS put out the mandate to create the blue papers, we had also given the, I guess not the promise, but I don't know how you would call that, said that once they submit the blue papers, that part of it was that they would have the first right of refusal. Now, this group doesn't need to honor that commitment. But what we discussed as a group was that we would give them the opportunity to bid, and then this group would then review whether or not they want to accept that bid. And then if they don't want that, that's okay. EOS would likely still honor that commitment, which would remove that priority from the coalition, which is fine, which then just means we can bring up another item to the coalition. But that in order to know if we were to do so, basically, let's go through the process, send them the RFPs, see what comes back, see whether or not that fulfills the requirements of what this group imagined as part of that item. And if so, then we make the determination at that time, we take the vote at that time.
Yeah, it's fine. I get this. My thought was just if we're discussing those papers and there is kind of a risk that they have no resource or don't want to actually work on this, we could already add another party to kind of listen into
so I think
and then
Yves already asked them.
Yeah.
And
so we've done that. So I think it was 2 weeks ago. I think it's maybe one of the meetings you weren't there. I went out to just ask, that was the first task. do you even want to bid on this if it were to become available? The coalition has highlighted this as one of the priorities in the top 20. And essentially all of the items were said yes, but not by all of the groups. So a good example is in Audit Plus, there's Sentinel and there's Slomis. Slomis turned down to bid on any item, but Sentinel said they would be interested in bidding on the, I believe, 2 items that were highlighted. So yes, all of the items have been said yes to, but by different groups.
Okay, fine. Awesome. Good.
And the only item, as a caveat, the only item that is in the list of top 20 priorities that didn't come from the original blue papers is the audit of EOS.io itself. And that, I guess, is still on hold as to what we do with. I guess it would need a formal RFP as well.
Yeah. It's somewhere in the backlog here, that item.
Right there at the second on top left.
There it is. Yep. Okay. So yeah, and that was Ted that wanted to write that the moment that we're ready to go forward. Okay, so here's still the Ted and Jeff to create RFPs for top 20. I think we covered this, waiting for the first one. And we haven't started really to do the other ones, I assume. So, or do you have like 48 hours a day and are already started to create some of the RFP bare bones?
Jeff, you have some of the bare bones done, right? You're on mute.
Yeah. So I would say 2 of them are in decent enough shape that given the 24 hours, I can have something pretty good. But I can just start cranking through the rest of them.
I believe on Tuesday during the Scalability Plus call, we said that we would leave a 24 hours review period for anyone who wanted to go over the faster finality and see if they had anything to add. I'm guessing nobody raised their hand and nope. Nobody had anything to bring up. So I would say at least for that one, like maybe I'm happy to do another round on it. I do intend to place a bid on it as well. So just full disclosure. So I mean, like I said, I'm happy to give it a go. Just make sure everything is fine. But to me, I was confident. I was happy to bid on it as it was. So
it did have the open question to think about. Nobody put any security requirements around that, which might be okay, but usually that's kind of a yellow flag that goes up in my head for technical projects. But if you guys don't believe there are additional security requirements for that, then that's okay. That's just me.
Well, one of the things that's that AREG has been kind of pushing also was the mathematical proofs of the algorithm. So we've been working on that. That's going to be part of the paper that we're going to be releasing. So that's probably one of the key things that should go in there. Like I said, I mean, I was hoping, because I mean, this RFP was built off my overview, the one that I drafted myself a while back. And I was hoping we'd get other people to review that as well. but unfortunately, I don't think it happened. So it's fine. But yeah, I'll just do one last pass to finish it the way I think. And I mean, again, everyone is still welcome to review it. But if nobody else reviews it, I mean, I'm okay with it as well.
Okay, so that's the first one we're gonna finalize, really.
I would like to review it if that's okay. I mean, just
please.
and yeah, if there's anybody else, we can also. Well, I guess people within the NF have already reviewed, essentially, correct?
Yeah, I mean, well, we've been
because
discussing
they were part of the drafting together. Or would you like us to also formally get people inside to review, like one last final look over it?
I mean, I think the ENF is well, I mean, has reviewed it because it's been part of the process, like at least through Eric.
Yeah.
But but I was hoping to get maybe like a kind of thumbs up from Telos and from Wax mostly, see if they agree with the definition. But yeah, I mean, if nobody really adds anything, I'm gonna go with this means like we trust you and we let you take the lead on that one, which is okay. I just want to have like that idea, like whether it's the case or not, just so that we're all on the same page here.
Well, essentially, everybody is going to need to review because we'll need to take a vote on this. So
Right.
Wax will need to review. Telos will need to
Exactly,
review as well.
exactly.
Yes.
So, but yeah, I mean, as I said, like for as far as it is right now, the process of creating the RFP. I mean, that's what I'm referring to in terms of reviewing. If everyone is okay with it, I'm happy to keep it as is as well.
Okay.
But yes, if you can send that to me, Guillaume, just by PM, it'll be easier, and I'll take a look.
Will do.
Thank you.
Okay, so we have the feature delta difference for the 4 chains. Is there any update? I think Wax was the only one that was missing on that. Did you cover this in the last call?
Sorry, I can't see. Can you? Which item is that? The
identification of feature deltas.
So
I think that item's closed. Oh no, we're still waiting on Wax.
We're still waiting on Wax, but I mean, I had a discussion with Lucas on kinda this topic, not just that, but that was kind of part of it. And he said that really, like, the only thing significant that they have is that RSA implementation. That's kind of quite easy for them to port over to a new build later on or something like that. So I don't think it's a big issue for them. Like, they're basically saying like it's easy for them to merge this stuff into any like upstream versions of the code. So
Okay, so it seems we don't have a large issue here.
yeah, no, I think we can all assume that we're close enough to vanilla that it won't matter whatever changes are being made. We're all going to be able to port our changes, like merge our changes easily with the rest of the code base.
Okay, that sounds good.
And I'm in the document already, Guillaume.
Perfect. Excellent.
Thank you, Jeff.
Yeah. Ted, were you able to resolve the GitHub issues, like with Jesse and add the other people?
Yes. One of them still is pending. Like, all I can do is send the invite, and they have to go to the repo and accept the invite. And I think Lucas has still not done that. I think I have a window open that I was looking at that, but he had not yet. I can just 1 second. I'll pull up the right thing to see maybe it's on. And so Lucas has still not accepted his invite. Douglas, I kind of prompted with a text, and I think he finally looks like he did. Yep, Douglas is in. So everybody but Lucas is in that has asked to be in. And I can't do it. I can't just add Lucas. He has to accept the invite.
Yes. So it's probably sitting in thousands of mails
Yes.
waiting for him to find the mail. So that's fine. Okay. Then you did go to the top 20 priority list and discuss that. So the ones that were open, as far as I could understand from the call, was 19 and 20. I don't know, Guillaume, have you been able to work on those? Probably
so those are ad hoc items number 10 and number 5. So the bolded right below are the notes for the meeting. So I tried to do the notes like you do them. So I unbolded the previous ones. I bolded basically the latest ones. So the text there should be accurate.
This one here.
Yes. Well, the 3, basically everything that's bold right there. Yes.
Okay, and then, but there was still 19 and 20 that were open. So for D-Store, you probably need to talk to Douglas anyway. So, but have you been able to kind of look at those two?
No, I'm not sure. I'm not sure if we assigned them to someone. I know the one that I took to write up was improved token standards, which I haven't done yet. But I'm not sure if we named anyone for the store and read only actions just yet.
We didn't, and because there were items 19 and 20, the idea was that we would focus on the other ones first.
Exactly.
And we would leave this item open to ensure we don't forget it, but it wasn't, there was no deadline per se.
I believe that's right. Yeah.
Okay, so but these are in progress. So I don't know why 9 is in there. I took this from the video. 9 is cross chain.
IBC. I've done I have the write up. Write up is done. So that's also, I guess, ready for review at any point.
And so it was just 5 and 10, as well as then the peer-to-peer, which was also on pause.
Yeah.
And peer-to-peer is
out of these, those that matter the most are probably number 1 through 5, because these are the higher priorities. I believe for Fast Finality SDK, we're in good shape. Secure Smart Contract is being also tackled because it's was part of the Audit Plus blue paper. Synchronous calls, I think you were already doing that through the ENF, if I'm not mistaken, Yves.
No, and actually my question on that was when Fractally, or I guess Dan and Fractally bid on, or had indicated that they were bidding, that they may bid on Faster Finality, synchronous calls was part of that. So I guess my question to you is, do you see synchronous calls being part of the Faster Finality work? And I'm really asking simply because they were both put together when they were pitched.
I don't think so. On top of my head, I don't think they necessarily have anything to do with each other.
Okay.
I think maybe they just proposed both at once because they needed the two things.
It's highly possible, yeah. There was no, we didn't actually receive a bid. It was the, hey, we're intending on sending you something, which never came. So I never got any documentation.
Yeah, the way the RFP is written, they are not the same thing. That, of course, could be modified, but as it is now, they are two different things.
Then that would be the first one then that we would actually go to open tender with, if that's the case. Well, I know Faster Finality is another one, but Guillaume has just highlighted that he'll bid on it, which is still an open tender. The other one, I guess, then, if I'm understanding correctly, you wouldn't bid on that necessarily, Guillaume, or it's not part of the Faster Finality bid, so it would be a separate bid.
Right. I can consider it, but yeah, that was I was not planning to bid on it. The other thing also is this one we haven't really worked on it yet. It didn't get picked up for the Scalability Plus group, so we decided it was not a Scalability feature. So as it stands, it probably should fall under Core Plus, or I mean, if we ever want to assign something else to one of these existing groups, or if we're planning to like that.
Yeah, that's not gonna happen. I don't envision that happening.
Okay, so that's probably I guess it falls upon EOSIO Plus to deal with it then. So we can. I mean, not sure. Like we do have the overview for it. So again, I think pending review. not sure if anyone really reviewed it.
If you want to, please send to our ENF engineers to review. That'd be great, and I can also take a look. but this is way over my head in terms of technicality.
Right. Yeah. But okay, so sounds good. And I think it was at the time it was Jesse, I think, who did that overview, if I remember right. And Jesse,
I do have a question about item number 9, which is or what I believe was item number 9. It moved a little bit too fast. The trustless IBC. So I saw that UX prioritized that as 0. I would imagine, correct me if I'm wrong, that you prioritize that as 0 because you have a solution, correct?
Yes, exactly.
So my question
if we were to
simply implement your solution is the idea. Like, could we review, ensure that it meets the needs, but could we somehow fast track that item to a certain extent?
Possibly, yes. Open for discussion, absolutely.
So that's for 9.
Yeah.
I'm not sure we talked about this. We kind of did when we were talking about, I believe it was last week, about some of the products or functions that some chains have already built, essentially, that the others have not, or they don't have. And this would be a good example, or the Telos RFP solution, the DLT solution that we saw earlier is kind of another example of that. I would be very much supportive of whenever there's a chain that has developed a particular product or a function that the others do not have, that a priority go to that chain or that team to essentially implement, as long as it met the requirements of everybody else, and that we actually compensate retroactively for whatever that is, so that that team in this example, let's say UX would say, we're willing to bid on this item for X amount of dollars, and then if they win the bid, well, the actual implementation of is much, much, much quicker because the solution is already there. So there's the maintenance, and then there's documentation and everything. But then we would be, in a way, rewarding the coalition members that have already worked on solutions that the others have not. Rewarding them financially is a big component, but also then for everybody else, it's a huge advantage because we can get the final, the actual function that we're looking for much faster. So I put that caveat in because I didn't want it to sound like, let's say we would implement trustless IBC in this case at no cost, because it is an IP or it is something that you've developed. Likewise with the DLT solution that we just looked at before, if we did something like that, then yeah, the chains have borne costs in order to bring it to this level. That should be reflective in the process. I would fully support that.
And I mean, we're very open as well. Can definitely discuss that as a possibility. The only reason I didn't really bring it up until now is because, yeah, it felt it was because of the way we voted for it. We didn't give it exactly 0, but I think we gave it like 15, rank 15 or something like that. So that pushed it to global rank 9, I think. Mm-hmm. But it's yeah, like obviously we're very happy to entertain some sort of agreement here.
Well, we also likewise with the API transaction lifecycles, we voted 0, but it's not because we don't think it's important. It's because the work is already underway. We already paid for it, and so that's how I took that item in your list.
Yep.
Okay. Good. So the last item I have on the agenda is create wallet SDK RFP document from Aaron. Maybe
it is actually from it would be from Ted or Jeff for the RFP document.
Yeah, so Aaron and we have gone back and forth in email. It's getting closer. I think I can have that one maybe by the end of tomorrow or Monday at the latest, ready to send out for a working group review.
So what is that in lines?
You mean number 4 of the, is that what you were asking, Kersten? It was number 4 in the top 20.
I'm not sure. This one here, yeah.
Yeah.
Number 4. Yeah. So I just because Aaron is kind of rewriting his documents for the 3rd time now. So I was wondering how fast this is, or how far this is progressing. So
yeah, hopefully it's not a rewrite. It's just it's just a little bit of added.
Okay, so that's in progress then.
Yep.
So do we have, because this obviously these top 20 items and everything, are we clear on when we expect all the things to be ready? And because I have to admit I lost a little bit track of who's now caring for which items and which status they have. Probably it does make sense to kind of split this top 20 ticket into actually 20 tickets to have like each and every in a different ticket format. So we have an overview for each of them, because this one is kind of confusing me at the moment, and I kind of lost track of what is in which status, to be very honest.
What we discussed before, and I thought we agreed upon, was that this only applied to the HADOX items, because the other one we would just take the content of the blue papers. And of the ADOCs that we have in there, I think those that are high priority all have their definition. Those that don't, we abandon them. So it's kind of, I think that part is more or less done as far as my understanding.
It's still the RFPs have to be put together, and so we wanted to get the format and see everybody to look at the SDK one, say, yeah, that format's good, that's what we like, and then it's really just Jeff and I splitting them up and trying to just crank through them, taking the ad hoc ones from the papers that were written by the scalability team, and then taking the blue papers to drive the other ones, and we'll start top down and move down the list so that they can start to go out for bid, asynchronous from all of the groups being, all of the 20 lists being completed at once. As soon as they're ready, they'll go out for bid, or be, bid on by the original author.
Okay. Good. Is there anything else you want to add or discuss for today? Take this as no. Then we
Sorry, yes,
all...
I'm muted. Sorry, I was trying to unmute myself. So far, a lot of our processes are very administrative in nature. And it would be great if any of the other teams were able to contribute some administrative resources to the very tedious current part of, I guess, our coalition. So I don't know if there's any chains that have kind of the more project managers, business analysts, writers, or anything like that. That would be very, very much appreciated. Because once these RFPs are out, then it goes to the developers, but then that's not necessarily in-house. We can then go out to the greater public. Whereas for the administrative components, it'd be very difficult to go out to the greater public to come and volunteer their time to do this at this stage. So we probably have to farm in-house. So just keep that in mind. Wax, I guess, is not on call. It'd be great if Wax were able to contribute. Some people, I'm sure you have some people that would be able to help out. Right now, it's pretty much Jeff and Ted that are doing the. I guess that's not true. There's Guillaume as well. But if there were other people, that'd be awesome. And I apologize. I guess Jesse, you've helped as well. Sorry. Just be great if there's more people. disregard the amount of the people that I just mentioned.
So yeah, we're in the process of hiring a product manager and maybe a junior one as well. So things might open up for us, but at the moment it might be hard.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Yeah, well, the bottleneck right now is just the lack of administrative resources.
Would it be a good idea to have this group as a like EOSIO Plus group hire its own administrative staff to manage?
I don't think that cost would be justified at this stage. I mean, we have staff in-house that we're directing towards this. It'd just be great if others could do the same. I don't think there's enough. It's less so like one full-time person. It'd be more so just a bunch of different people that can do this, you know, a few hours per week type of thing. And I think it's somewhat of a particular period in our existence, and then it'll come and go in waves. But right now it's very heavy because we have all of this backlog of work to actually put in to a format to kind of bring out. But once that's done, then there'll be way less work on an ongoing basis.
It's an impulse function.
I had the same thought, but I also was thinking through it. If we hired somebody, I think all the people that are currently doing the work would spend a similar amount of time helping that person come up to speed on, you know, trying to do. And then by the time that time's spent, they could have just done it themselves. And then to your point, Yves, then we'd have nothing for them to do for some cycle, and
we'd have a big bill. So, and we need to figure out how do we hire those people anyways, right? Essentially, it'd be one in one of our chains, likely, because we have the processes to be able to do so. So we are also increasing staff within BNF, but I'm just thinking for this week or for next week, like immediate needs, essentially. If there's anybody on your chains that you can think of that you could volunteer for this, that'd be great.
Is the main lift the RFPs, writing those out, or what am I missing outside of that?
So something that I think might work well is that you know, I can actually fairly quickly pull out a skeleton of like deliverables, because really it's the requirements section of the RFP that's not canned. Everything else, it's, you know, typical canned document stuff. But in a couple times, you know, I've sent, for example, the skeleton to Aaron, and Aaron like took some time to just fill out the parts that I didn't quite understand well enough. And that, like, I believe, reduced the amount of time he needed to get pulled into thinking through like how it's structured. But it also reduced the amount of time I was like trying to interpret stuff, you know, and not, quite frankly, get it right. So, you know, that's kind of a good model if like people inside the working group can kind of step out, even if they're not a project manager or a product manager, they can still like help with just a small amount of time. I think inside of like 20 minutes or half an hour, they can blow through a quick review and turn it into gold. You know, kind of all the garbage that I'm throwing out.
Yeah, that makes a ton of sense. When is the first one coming out? I've never seen I haven't seen that many RFPs. I'm wondering how detailed they are versus a product spec. Obviously, they're relatively light-ish, and some are maybe much more detailed than others, I guess.
So he said either Friday or Monday he'll have it ready.
Excellent.
Yeah, I think it's getting clearer at the moment that we have a full document, and then we can also judge what kind of skill set we need for the people to do that. I mean, obviously Jeff and Ted are very skilled in those things and can do that, and people trust them. So we just need to assure that we have resources that really understand what they're doing. So,
well, that's just the beginning too. So then we actually go out to tender, and then we need to make the decision as to who wins the bid. And then we need to follow that project along to make sure we don't waste our dollars end to end. So we'll still need people that know what they're doing. over time, but at least I think right now it's very top heavy or very like front heavy because all of them are at once. Whereas going forward, it'll be a little bit more spread out in terms of ongoing work. But yes, likely we'll need more resources over time. But right now it's just very, very front heavy.
Yeah. Okay.
And I would imagine, I guess, on that front as well, that we may, I guess the purpose of having Adam on the call at the beginning of this meeting was that we may, or I guess, leverage a solution like, I'm not sure what the name is, Telos RFP, in order to go through the actual process of assigning or putting the bid public or putting the RFP public, reviewing the bid submissions, selecting the bid. So that small component of the full process, is that the idea? That we're envisioning perhaps using that tool for that portion of the workflow. Is that correct? That tool or any other tool, but I'm guessing that was the purpose of inviting Adam over today.
Yeah, I could imagine that this tool could be used for that. I kind of keeping track on the various roadmaps and timelines and the budgets that are assigned to them. And well, if we have like a formal approval process for the milestones, obviously somebody needs to decide, has a milestone been achieved? And if that's the case and we approve that milestone, then the payments could be automated as Adam outlined. So I think it could be a useful tool for us to kind of keep track of the different work items and the payments assigned to those items and bring them forward. Because I imagine that if we have like those top 20 items and the RFPs are all signed and we've got 20 teams working on that, it's going to be highly difficult to kind of control those processes and milestones and payments. So I think it's good having a tool like this, unless we want to use like an ERP solution or a time tracking solution in addition to do these kind of things. So
if we were to go forward with that specifically, I think there's a few components that are missing. I'm thinking just from the invoicing side of things, to be able to actually generate the invoices, the contracts, etc. Otherwise, if that's all manual, then I mean most of the work
it doesn't help too much.
Yeah.
And then the ongoing process as well, because a lot from what I see right now is a lot of the ongoing monitoring project management process occurs also outside of that project. So if there's a better link to that, then the accountability, as you just mentioned, would be in there. But as I saw it today, that's not necessarily the case. So you mentioned that we need to manage these 20 projects. What I saw today doesn't do that.
Yeah, I would recommend that if that's going to be a future solution, because it did have a lot of like really interesting components that we could use, but we should just take the whole concept of portfolio management like out of that. That is such a complicated thing. And there's just no way if they spent the next 3 years focused on this, they're going to get something ready. But if we take that out and let's forget about portfolio management or milestone tracking, like, we could use that potentially as a framework. The other thing I said earlier, I do think we need to have a really rigorous analysis process. And so it's like we could use potentially that tool as the final thumb up, thumb down, but I think we need to have something a little bit more rigorous because, again, we need that transparency on the process. And just saying that, well, Telos voted yes and EOS voted no. And I mean, I don't think that's going to cut it, particularly with some of the headwinds we already have with trust issues. I think what we need to do is maybe start in spreadsheets because they're easy. And if the process requires us to pivot, spreadsheets are super easy for us to change. And we don't have to go through a development cycle just to like make a slight process tweak.
I'm guessing that part of that rigor process is occurring, let's say, would occur on these calls. One thing that could be kind of simple, but I take your point as well, that basically the manual process is what we're by default doing. And that's somewhat relatively easy while we define the processes. one of the things we could do if that if the application itself were to add that function would be that these calls are recorded, put on IPFS, and then uploaded through that application. Then this is the rigor. The video is the kind of the record of how we came to that decision. Then in the application, do the up down. But what's still missing for me is then the payments are sent out, but I still need an invoice. We still need a contract. We still need the kind of the real world part that's not in there. So that's the part I think is still missing before I would think that we could actually adopt it. Otherwise, I think it'd be nice, it'd be symbolic, but we'd still need to recreate the actual thumb up in a paper with a signature. And so it'd be a nice kind of to have, but in order to leverage it the way that I think could be leveraged, it still needs some work. And that's cool, because if we're one of the first users or enterprise users, it might be an opportunity to define what the application becomes or what it looks like and which features are being added to it. And again, it would come from one of the chains. And so there's benefit to that as well, to leverage and empower that chain.
Yeah, I mean, you have to...
It could use templates to create those contracts and things, Yves, and create those invoices. So once the reason it needs, I agree with it should not have Kanban in it, Jeff, but it needs the milestones, because the milestones are when payments are created. So all the milestone would go tick, this milestone should be up now. And then a PM would say, show me your demo or whatever. Yes, we're approving payment. Then it could actually cause payment on chain in Telos or in EOS and create the invoice. And, you know, it could do, it doesn't do any of that today, but I could see where if we added those enhancements, it could kick out the contract, kick out the invoice, make the payment automatically. But it's got work before. I mean, for now, it's not really taking any load off us. It would actually be more work on top of what we're doing.
Yes. Yeah, but it would be good to kind of define that process early if we really wanted to go down that route, defining it early, and then leveraging the power of the blockchain that we have and our own tools to be able to kind of create that transparency, that record, that immutability to our processes. I think it would be really good. But I agree with you that today it's probably more work than just doing it manually. But we need to start somewhere at some point, and this team seems willing to do so. Telos is already invested in it, so I'm willing to explore it further for sure.
Yeah, and at the point of time we start really working on those projects, we need to have, like you said, Jeff, we need to have like a tool that enables us to do proper portfolio management and manage those projects and put them together as a program. So we need to work on that. So, but maybe Tad, Jeff, I'll coordinate the meeting for this template. Maybe we can think about that and think about tools we know from our past experience and think about what a process like this could be looking like.
And not everything needs to be on blockchain. We should also question what we put or what we leverage blockchain for.
Yeah. Well, the payments for sure. I mean, the beauty of yeah. I mean, it was nice that it's also being signed with the private key. So I like that. Like you can tell you can't fake the private key. You know, the fact that you signed it with your wallet. So I like that integration. It's one of the reasons why most enterprise applications can be spoofed. You just go in the database somehow. If you're a DBA and you change someone's salary, they can't really tell who changed it. But when it's signed with your signature, your wallet, it shows that you changed it. So there's some nice things there about making payments and signing things off. But yeah, a lot more of it probably didn't need to be so blockchain related.
Yeah.
In terms of general accountability for this group, it's also, I think, I see the benefit. Fast forward 6 to 8 months, where we're managing multiple projects, we're awarding multiple RFPs, where the Treasury is much larger. I can see how this then also brings accountability to all of the groups to showcase this is what we're doing, right? Because it's even the people on this call, very small subset of those groups, but being accountable to the larger token holders and larger each of the ecosystems, and kind of closing that loop. I think I do believe that that's value add for sure. And that's it. Sorry, I didn't mean to go on that far of a tangent.
No, good discussion. Thanks for bringing it up. So yeah, if nobody else has a topic, then I would like to close the call. Wish everybody a nice day, evening, whatever, morning, and then see you soon. And stay healthy.
All right,
Bye.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you guys.
Right.